Joining me now is CTV News political analyst Eric Ham. Eric, thanks as always for joining us.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're into the critical stretch, 2 months to go before the election. We're looking at the polling numbers. Has Harris ahead by about 5 points. She's raising more money. Where do we stand right now? What can we expect over the next 2 months?
Well, this is now the official sprint to the November elections. This is Labor Day weekend in the United States, and this is when things begin to really ramp up and intensify. And we expect things to only become even more intense as we know that debate between Harris and Trump is going to take place next week in Philadelphia. And now with polls showing that there is some separation between the two candidates, I think we're going to begin to see Donald Trump even lob more attacks at the vice president. And of course, more questions and around the vice president and her willingness to do interviews with the press is all going to, I think, begin to further shape and color this race.
Do you think Trump is going to change his strategy at all heading into the debate? He's watched the numbers grow, and the attacks don't seem to be having the effect he's hoping.
No, I think we're going to only see the president double down on the attacks. But also, I think what's happening is Donald Trump has had some unforced errors. In fact, we know that the confrontation that took place in Arlington Cemetery with one of his campaign staffers and one of the officials from Arlington Cemetery, that is, I think, beginning to actually break through and have a debilitating effect on the former president's support with military voters, as we are seeing Kamala Harris is leading with all demographics of military voters, which is very, very striking because that is one area where Republicans tend to do very, very well is with those who have served in the military. And so I think what we're seeing here is Donald Trump is seeing some slippage with many key supporters, not only for traditional Republicans, but even for himself. We know that Donald Trump is losing some women and even with some non-college educated voters as well.
And with Harris, with the debate, what can we expect from her?
I think there is going to be a large push for the vice president to really showcase not only accomplishments and achievements during her time in the Biden administration, but also throughout her time as a U.S. Attorney General and, of course, her short time in the U.S. Senate. And while we know that Donald Trump is certainly going to try to drag that debate into the mud, there's going to be, I think, a back and forth and a push and pull on the vice president to also want to showcase that joy that we see from Harris and Walz, while also trying to ward off many of those insults from Donald Trump.
All right, let's bring in our current scoreboard, shall we say, the 270 to win numbers. We'll just take a quick look at those and get your thoughts on it. From the countdown to the September presidential debate, here are some of the numbers when we're looking at the scoreboard. 226 seats right now for the Democrats, 219 for the Republicans. Of course, we need 270 to win. We're looking at the battleground states, still the same, those key ones, Nevada, Arizona. You've got Wisconsin up there, Michigan, and Pennsylvania and Georgia, and you can see the numbers. Those are the deciding states still up in the air with those. Your thoughts when you see all those numbers from 270 to win?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. And although there are a number of polls that show Michigan and Wisconsin firmly in the Democratic camp, but I do think one state that I think is going to be a potential game changer is the state of North Carolina. Now, that is a state Democrats have not won since 2008 when Barack Obama won it. But many polls are showing that Donald Trump is leading in that state anywhere from like 1 to 2 points. However, when you look at the gubernatorial race, the Democratic challenger in that race is actually leading the current lieutenant governor in that race by more than 10 points, which suggests that there could be a pathway for Kamala Harris to actually win in North Carolina. And quite frankly, Donald Trump cannot win this election without North Carolina. He has to put North Carolina in the red column, or this is going to be a very short night for him. And so I think that's a state also that I think could be potentially up for grabs.
All right, Eric, thank you as always for your insight.
Thank you.